Hi fans of high quality entertainment. Today I am ranking my favorite top 10 classic rock albums from 1977. And as always, I have to keep repeating myself. These are my favorites. I'm not saying they're the best. But somebody will still argue with me. Or somebody will say, where's Pink Floyd's Animals? It's not in my top 10 list. Oh, and just a reminder, on my other channel, my ASMR channel, I just posted kind of almost a half-hour vlog, just talking about my whole life, the various jobs I've had, and there's even some footage back in the day of me on those jobs. So I hope you check it out at some point. So 1977 was, a pretty good year for music, but I've still noticed that there's not quite as many albums that I loved as much as the late 60s, early 70s. So even by 77 I was starting to lose interest in some of the bands coming out, I guess. So some of the great albums that did not make my top 10 list. AC/DC, Let There Be Rock. David Bowie, Heroes. Sex Pistols, Nevermind the Bollocks. I love all of those albums. Television, Marquee Moon. Pink Floyd, Animals. That's one Pink Floyd album I like it, but I've never totally loved it. Just my opinion. Rush, A Farewell to Kings. Ramones, Rocket to Russia. Iggy Pop, Lust for Life. Jethro Tull, Songs for the Wood. Ramones, Leave Home. ELO, Out of the Blue. Randy Newman, Little Criminals. Eloy, Ocean, love that album. Joni Mitchell, Don Juan's Reckless Daughter. The Jam, In the City. I need to listen to The Jam, I've never heard their full albums. Meatloaf, Bad Out of Hell. I used to own that on vinyl. Yeah, I enjoyed it back in the day when it came out, but I'm not a big fan of it these days. Styx, The Grand Illusion, I had that when it came out. Foreigner, their debut album, I had that when it came out. And Peter Gabriel, his debut album, not better known, but also known as Car, because his first 3 solo albums were all called Peter Gabriel. So one's Car, then Scratch, and Melt. What's that? What are my top 10 favorite albums from 1977? I'm glad you asked. And, even though these are ranked, it is, I don't know, I don't take these rankings that seriously. It's just entertainment. I could, the next day I could change my mind and switch some of these around. But at the moment, as of today, at 11:52 a.m., number 10 is one of my all-time favorite debut albums, Cheap Trick. Probably their heaviest too, with I think my favorite Cheap Trick song, The Ballad of TV Violence, I'm Not the Only Boy. Hello Kitties, Daddy Should Have Stayed in High School, Oh Candy, Hot Love. Just so many great songs. And Robin Zander, one of the greatest vocalists in rock. So if you haven't heard this, check it out. Number 9, when this came out in 1977, as usual, I was a bit disappointed with it, but I still liked it. And through the years, as normal, usually, I've grown to really love it and appreciate it a lot. It's Blue Oyster Cult's Spectres. With probably their most underrated song on this, I Love the Night. Such a beautiful song by possibly my favorite, along with Frank Zappa and Steve Howe, my favorite guitarist, Buck Dharma, and the most underrated. That guy right there. Number 8, I remember, back in the day, you would hear about these new bands coming out in their first album. And because we didn't have the internet in 1977, I couldn't check it on Spotify. So you would just wait in anticipation of buying the album and hoping not to be disappointed. And I was definitely not disappointed with the Sex Pistols, and I wasn't disappointed with the Clash in their debut album. She's in love with the rock and roll world. Yeah. My favorite, possibly my favorite Clash song, Garage Land or Garage Land. Career Opportunities, Janie Jones, I'm So Bored with the USA. Just killer track after killer track. Number 7, once again, you'd buy all of these magazines, Rolling Stone when it was good back in the day, Cream magazine, and you'd see an artist like this guy, and you'd be interested, it would sound, oh, this sounds like it might be good. And once again, did not disappoint at all. Elvis Costello with My Aim Is True. Sorry, just having fun. Trying to give you some high quality entertainment. Yeah. Welcome to the Working Week, Miracle Man. The whole album is just superb. What a great writer. 10, 9, 8, 7. 6. And you thought I couldn't count. I've said this went off and on, but I really mean it. This is probably one of the most, for me, I think I underrate this band, even though I know they are one of the greatest bands of all time. They'd be in the top, probably the top 5 greatest bands of all time. I just prefer listening to other music, but I do love their albums. And I do love this album, Queen, News of the World. We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions, Sheer Heart Attack, All Dead, Spread Your Wings, Fight from the Inside, goes on and on and on. It's Late is possibly my favorite song on this, and Spread Your Wings. Great album. Number 5, I bought this back in 1977, and once again, just reading up on this band and being pleasantly surprised that it was probably even better than what they were saying. Wire, Pink Flag. Once again, one of the greatest debut albums ever. And I have their other 2, their second album and their third album, Chairs Missing and 154. And I know there's still three of the 4 members are still together and recording and everything and making great albums, but I only have the first 3, at least for now. Yeah, really catchy short songs, punky, punk rock, but really great musicians. And if you've never heard Wire, I suggest checking out maybe Lowdown on YouTube or Spotify. That's a Lowdown. Once again, number 4 is just a personal favorite of mine. I'm sure it's not on a lot of other people's top 10 list, but it is on mine. It is Sparks, with Introducing Sparks. And this was when they joined a new label, Columbia Records, here in Canada and the States. So this was their 7th album, and they're introducing Sparks. So when I saw this in the record store, I was a bit confused. But it's great pop rock music, very commercial. They're probably their most commercial album, and I've always loved it. And this was the album, I've told the story many, many times. I had a friend who hated Sparks, supposedly, even though he did buy Kimono My House. But when this came out, he bought it. So number 3 I do not own, but I've had it on vinyl for many, many years, and I know the album very well. And I could easily buy it. I just haven't. And it would probably be number 1 on a lot of people's lists. And it is one of the greatest albums of all time for sure. It is Fleetwood Mac's Rumours. And once again, it's one of those albums that the production, the sound quality of it, if you want to show off a great stereo system back in the day, it was either Supertramp's Crime of the Century or Fleetwood Mac's Rumours, because they were so well produced. And just one of the perfect albums. Every song was great. But I even loved Tusk more. Yeah, I'm one of those guys. Now, I felt kind of guilty having David Bowie's Heroes not in the top 10, but like I said, I do love the album. So I've made up for it. Glenn Kellaway from the Basement, who probably has this at number 1. David Bowie's Low. Love this. When this came out, I remember seeing this, and I wasn't into Bowie. I liked him, but I never was buying his albums back in 1977. And I remember seeing this album in the record store and thinking, what a cheap looking album cover. But I've grown to actually love the album cover. What do you think is my number 1 favorite album from 1977? You have to speak up. I can't hear you. Oh, no, you're wrong. It is Yes. Going for the One. And, once again, this was an album that I don't remember when I first bought it, but it was on vinyl. And I did not, like the first song, Going for the One, I couldn't stand. I thought it was too noisy, and the production and everything, it was just too much. And even Awaken, I never got it at first. It took me a while. But, in the last few years, I've realized what a great album this is. And Awaken is one of the greatest songs for me ever made. Going for the One, still, I love it more, but I still think the production, I wish, was better. And I don't know if there's any way. I've heard they don't have the master tapes for this anymore, so I'd love Stephen Wilson to somehow remix this. But I don't know if he will be able to. But Turn of the Century is glorious, and Wondrous Stories and Parallels I love, and of course Awaken. So number 1 for me. Number 1 for me is Going for the One. Thanks for watching. I would love your thoughts in the comments section below.